Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting story. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story.
Hello, it's Wednesday. It's late. As usual, day's kind of got away from me. I was hoping to get this done, but I didn't. So it's a little bit later than intended, but still a very nice dedication to a wonderful lady who did a lot for the world. She started a literacy program to send books to kids who were in like Head Start. You can still get, to my knowledge, you can still get a free book by signing up with her, this program for your kids, up to, I think it's double digits. I know it's through at least grade school. Here in the United States, I believe, is where it's at, but I could be wrong, could be all over. She also made a big impact in the music industry and made a couple of really cool movies. So hopefully you'll enjoy learning a little bit more about her, and as we honor her passing. So before that, we're going to do a race, and I chose Farm Animals because she was a country girl. Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I support you. This shout out is for our friends. Okay, there's Carnival. There's Tracy. There's Cole. There's Kai. There's Phoenix. There's Lynn. There's Boys. There's Nature. There's Lynch. Great Lakes. Tracy. Ron. Lower. Jason. Lynn. Nobody. Generations. Ava. Lower. There's Great Lakes. There's East Dad. There's Embark Nation. East Dad. Let's see if we got it. Okay, this is Mr. East Dad, who does pop into our channels occasionally. He has not posted in a year. I think he's busy with life. And so I wanted to honor him before I unsubscribe, because, well, a year is much I can explore a channel that's not doing anything. He's got some good stuff, though, so check him out. We got some games, got some vlogs. So, and, we'll see you tomorrow. Hello, fellas. We are here to say a solemn goodbye to a wonderful person.
The Queen of Country.
Joe's going to tell you about a country western lady. Big lady. I like many, many, many of her songs. All right, and he's going to tell you about Miss Dolly Parton, who recently just passed today, in fact.
Yeah. Dolly Parton, 80, sadly passed away today, was originally born back on January 19th in 1946 in a one-room cabin on the banks of the Little Pigeon River in Pittman Center, Tennessee. Fourth of 12 children born to Abby Lee Caroline and Robert Lee Parton Sr. Siblings are Willadine, David Wilburn, Coy Denver, Robert Lee, Stella May, Cassie Nan, Randy Hudson, Larry Gerald, the twins Frida Estelle and Floyd Estelle, and Rachel Ann. Parton's middle name came from her maternal great-great-grandmother Rebecca Whited. Now, Parton's father, known as Lee, worked in the mountains of East Tennessee, first as a sharecropper, and later tending his own small tobacco farm and acreage. He also worked construction jobs to supplement the farm's small income. Despite her father's illiteracy, Parton often said he was one of the smartest people she had ever known with regard to business and making a profit. Parton's mother cared for the large family. Her 11 pregnancies, the 10th being twins in 20 years, made her a mother of 12 by age 35.
Wow.
Parton credited her musical abilities to her mother's influence. Often in poor health, she still managed to keep house and entertain her children with Great Smoky Mountain folklore and old ballads. With Welsh ancestry, Abbey Lee knew many songs that immigrants from Europe brought with them to the southern Appalachia. Abbey Lee's father, Jake Owens, was a Pentecostal preacher, and Parton and her siblings attended church regularly. Now, Parton long credited her father for her business sense and her mother's family for her musical abilities. When she was a young girl, her family moved from the Pittman Center area to a 2-room cabin farm in the nearby Locust Ridge. Most of her cherished childhood memories would happen here. A replica of the Locust Ridge cabin is displayed in her namesake theme park, Dollywood.
Ooh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. The farm acreage and surrounding woodland inspired her to write the song My Tennessee Mountain Home in the 1970s.
I think I remember hearing that somewhere.
Years after the farm was sold, Parton bought it back in the late 1980s, and her brother Bobby helped with the building restoration and new construction. Parton said her family was dirt poor. Her father paid missionary Dr. Robert F. Thomas with a sack of cornmeal for delivering her. Later in life, Parton wrote a song about Dr. Thomas. She also outlined her family's poverty in her early songs, Coat of Many Colors and The Good Old Days When Times Were Bad.
Yep.
I remember Coat of Many Colors.
Yep, I remember that one. Yeah. That was one of my favorites for a very long time.
Yeah. Now, the Parton's small subsistence farm on Locust Ridge was predominantly Pentecostal area, located north of the Greenbrier Valley in the Great Smoky Mountains. Music played an important role in Parton's early life, and she brought it up in the Church of God, in a congregation pastored by her grandfather, Jake Robert Owens. Her earliest public performances were in the church, beginning at age 6. At 7, she started playing a homemade guitar, and when she was 8, her uncle bought her first real guitar. The Parton's family was well fed despite their poverty, and her 2024 cookbook, Good Lookin' Cookin', co-written with Sister Rachel, recalls numerous family meals. After graduating from Cyber County High School in Cyberville, Tennessee in 1964, Parton moved to Nashville, Tennessee the next day. Now, Parton began performing as a child, singing on the local radio and television programs in the East Tennessee area. By 10, she was appearing on the Kaz Walker Show on both WIVK Radio and WBIR-TV in Knoxville, Tennessee. At 13, she recorded the single Puppy Love on a small Louisiana label, Gold Band Records, and appeared on the Grand Ole Opry, where she first met Johnny Cash, who encouraged her to follow her own instincts regarding her career. Parton's initial success came as a songwriter, having signed with Combine Publishing shortly after her arrival. Along with her frequent songwriting partner, Uncle Bill Owens, she wrote several charting singles during that time, including 2 top 10 hits for Bill Phillips, Put It Off Until Tomorrow and The Company You Keep in 1966. She also wrote Skeeter Davis's number 11 hit, Fuel to the Flame, in 1967. Her songs were recorded by many other artists during this period, including Kitty Wells and Hank Williams Jr. Well, at 19, she had signed with Monument Records in 1965, where she was initially pitched as a bubblegum pop singer. She released a string of singles, but the only one that charted, Happy Happy Birthday Baby, did not crack the Billboard Hot 100. Although she expressed a desire to record country material, Monument resisted, thinking her unusually high soprano voice would not be suited to the genre. Well, after her uncredited composition of Put It Off Until Tomorrow with Bill Phillips went on to number 6 in the country charts, the label relented and allowed her to record country. Her first country single, Dumb Blonde, composed by Curly Putnam, reached number 24 on the country chart in 1967, followed by Something Fishy, which went to number 17. The two songs would appear on her first full-length album, Hello, I'm Dolly. Well, in 1967, musician and country music entertainer Porter Wagoner invited Parton to join the Porter Wagoner Show, offering her a regular spot on his weekly syndicated television program and his road show. As documented in a 1994 autobiography, much of Wagner's audience was initially unhappy that Parton had replaced previous performer Norma Jean, who had left the show, sometimes chanting loudly for Norma Jean from the audience. With Wagner's assistance, Parton was eventually accepted. Wagner convinced his label, RCA Victor, to sign her. RCA decided to protect its investment by releasing her first single as a duet with Wagner. That song, a remake of Tom Paxton's The Last Thing on My Mind, was released in 1967 and reached the country top 10 in January of 1968, launching a 6-year streak of virtually uninterrupted top 10 singles for the pair. Parton's first solo single for RCA Victor, Just Because I'm a Woman, was released in the summer of 1968 and was a moderate chart hit, reaching number 17. For the next 2 years, none of her solo efforts, even in the good old days when the times were bad, which later became a standard, were as successful as her duets with Wagner.
Right.
The duo was named Vocal Group of the Year in '68 by the Country Music Association, but Parton's solo records were continually ignored. Wagner had a significant financial stake in her future. As of 1969, he was her co-producer and owned nearly half of the Opar, the publishing company Parton had founded with Bill Owens. In 1970, both Parton and Wagner had grown frustrated with their lack of solo chart success. Wagner persuaded Parton to record Jimmy Rogers' Mule Skinner Blues, a gimmick that worked. The record shot to number 3, followed closely by her first number 1 single, Joshua, in February of '71. For the next 2 years, she had numerous solo hits in addition to her duets, including her signature song, Coat of Many Colors, which went to number 4 in '71. Further top 20 singles would include The Right Combination and Burning the Midnight Oil, both duets with Wagner, Lost Forever in Your Kiss with Wagner, Touch Your Woman in '72, My Tennessee Mountain Home, and Traveling Man in '73. Although her solo singles and the Wagner duets were successful, her biggest hit in this period was Jolene. Released in '73, the song topped the country chart in February of '74 and reached the lower regions of the Hot 100. It also eventually charted in the UK, reaching number 7 in '76. Representing Parton's first UK success, Parton, who had always envisioned a solo career, made the decision to leave Wagner's show, and she stopped appearing mid-1974. The pair performed their last duet concert in April of that year. Although they remained affiliated, the Wagner helped to produce her records through '75. The final release as a duo was 1975's Say Forever You'll Be Mine. 1974, Parton's song I Will Always Love You, written about her professional break from Wagner, went on to become number 1 in the country chart. Around the same time, Elvis Presley indicated that he wanted to record the song. Parton was interested until Presley's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, told her that it was standard procedure for a songwriter to sign over half of the publishing rights to any song recorded to Presley. Parton refused.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
You're not getting half my song.
Screw that. That decision was credited with helping to make her many millions of dollars in royalties from the song over the years. In 74, Parton would have 3 solo singles reach #1, Jolene, I Will Always Love You, and Love Is Like a Butterfly, and the duet with Porter Wagoner, Please Don't Stop Loving Me. Parton again topped the singles chart in 75 with The Bargain Store. Now, between 74 and 1980, Parton had a series of country hits, with 8 singles reaching the #1. Her influence in pop culture was reflected in the many performers covering her songs, including mainstream and crossover artists like Olivia Newton-John, Emmylou Harris, and Linda Ronstadt.
Right.
Parton began to embark on a high-profile crossover campaign, attempting to aim her music in a more mainstream direction and increase her visibility outside the confines of country music. In 76, she began working closely with Sandy Galen, who served her as a personal manager for the next 25 years. And with her 1976 album, All I Can Do, which she co-produced with Porter Wagoner, Parton began taking a more active role in the production and began specifically aiming her music in a more mainstream pop direction. Her first self-produced effort, New Harvest, First Gathering, highlighted her pop sensibilities, both in terms of choice of songs and production. The album contained covers of the pop and R&B classics My Girl and Higher and Higher. Though the album was well received and topped the U.S. Country Albums chart, neither it or its single, Light on a Clear Blue Morning, made much of an impression on the pop chart.
Because I can't picture her as a pop.
After New Harvest's disappointing crossover performance, Parton turned to high-profile pop producer Gary Klein for her next album. The result, 1977's Here You Come Again, became her first million seller, topping the country album chart and reaching #20 on the pop chart. The Barry Mann Cynthia Weil penned title track topped the country singles chart and became Parton's first top 10 single in the pop chart, #3. Second single, the double A-sided Two Doors Down, one of my favorite, It's All Wrong But It's All Right, topped the country chart and crossed over to the pop top 20. For the remainder of the 70s and into the early 80s, many of her subsequent singles would move up both charts simultaneously. Her albums during this period were developed specifically for pop crossover success. In 1978, Parton would win a Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for Here You Come Again album. She continued to have hits with Heartbreaker, Baby I'm Burning, and You're the Only One, all of which charted in the pop top 40 and topped the country charts. Sweet Summer Lovin' became the first Parton single in 2 years to not top the country chart, although it did reach the top 10. During this period, her visibility continued to increase with multiple television appearances, a highly publicized candid interview on a Barbara Walters special in 77, timed to coincide with Here You Come Again's release, which was followed by an appearance in 78 on Cher's ABC television special and her own joint special with Carol Burnett on Dolly and Carol in Nashville. Now, Parton served as one of 3 co-hosts, along with Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell, on the CBS special 50 Years of Country Music. In 1979, Parton hosted the NBC special, The 70s, an explosion of country music, at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., a performance attended by President Jimmy Carter. Her commercial success grew in 1980, with 3 consecutive country charts #1, hits with Donna Summer written Starting Over Again, Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, and 9 to 5, which topped the country and pop charts in early 1981. She had another top 10 single that year with Making Plans from the 1980 album with Porter Wagoner, released as part of a lawsuit settlement between the pair. The theme song to the 1980 feature film 9 to 5, which starred her with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, reached number one not only in the country chart, but also the pop and the adult contemporary charts in February of '81, giving her a triple number one hit. Parton became one of the few female country singers to have a number one single in the country and pop charts simultaneously. It also received a nomination for an Academy Award for Best Original Song. Her singles continued to appear consistently in the country top 10. Now, between 1981 and '85, she had 12 top 10 hits, with half of them making it to number one. She continued to make inroads on the pop charts as well. A re-recorded version of I Will Always Love You from the feature film The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas scraped the top 50 that year, and her duet with Kenny Rogers, Island in the Stream, written by the Bee Gees and produced by Barry Gibb, spent 2 weeks at number one in 1983. In the mid-'80s, the record sales were still relatively strong, with songs like Save the Last Dance for Me, Tennessee Homesick Blues, God Won't Get You, Real Love, Don't Call It Love, Think About Love, all reaching the country top 10. Tennessee Homesick Blues, Think About Love, and Real Love reached number one on the country chart and became modest crossover hits. Despite this success, RCA Records did not renew her contract after it expired in '86, and she signed with Columbia Records in 1987. That was a dumb move.
Yeah.
This lady's punching them out, and they're just not going to re-sign her.
Yeah, not doing good enough. And I can understand. I mean, some of them were not like big leagues, but still.
Yeah.
I never quite understood that, maybe just because I'm not really in the music field. But just like, okay, you're not meeting ends meet, but you're not selling enough.
Yeah, it's like, how do you plot your income to what sort of an arc are you looking for from me?
Like, does it really matter? As long as she's selling something.
I know. I mean,
they're making money.
For all the artists that weren't bringing in these hits.
Right, exactly.
Hello. Well, along with Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt, Parton released Trio in 1987 to critical acclaim. The album revitalized Parton's musical career, spending 5 weeks at number one on Billboard's Country Albums chart, and also reached the top 10 in Billboard's Top 200 Albums chart, selling several million copies, and produced 4 top 10 country hits, including Phil Spector's To Know Him Is to Love Him, which went to number one. The trio won the Grammy Award for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, and was nominated for a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. After a further attempt at pop success with the album Rainbow, which included the song The River Unbroken, it was not well received commercially, causing Parton to focus on recording country material. White Limousine produced 2 number one hits in Why Do You Come Here Looking Like That and Yellow Roses. Although Parton's career appeared to be revived, it was actually just a brief revival before contemporary country music came in the early 1990s and moved most of the veteran artists off the charts. A duet with Ricky Van Shelton, Rockin' Years in '91.
I love that one.
Yep, that's a good one. Though Parton's greatest commercial fortune of the decade came when Whitney Houston recorded I Will Always Love You from the soundtrack to the feature film The Bodyguard. I remember that when that happened. Both the single and the album were massively successful. Parton's soundtrack album from the film Straight Talk in '92 was less successful, and her 1993 album Slow Dancing with the Moon won critical acclaim, as did well on the charts, reaching number 4 on the country album chart and number 16 on the Billboard 200 album chart. They would become platinum certified. In '93, she recorded The Day I Fall in Love as a duet with James Ingram for the feature film Beethoven's Second. The songwriters Ingram, Carol Bayer Sager, and Cliff Magnus were nominated for an Academy Award for the Best Original Song, and Parton and Ingram performed the song at the awards telecast. Similar to the earlier collaborative album with Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt, Parton released Honky Tonk Angels in the fall of '93, with Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette. It was certified as a gold album by the Recording Industry Association of America and helped revive both Wynette and Lynn's careers. Also in 94, Parton contributed the song You Gotta Be My Baby to the AIDS benefit album Red Hot plus Country, produced by the Red Hot organization. A live acoustic album, Heart Songs Live from Home, featured a stripped-down version of some of her hits, as well as some traditional songs which were released in 94. Parton's recorded music from the mid to late 1990s remained steady and somewhat eclectic. Her 1995 re-recording of I Will Always Love You, performed as a duet with Vince Gill from her album Something Special, won the Country Music Association's Vocal Event of the Year award. The following year, Treasures, an album of covers from the 60s and 70s hits, was released and featured a diverse collection of material, including songs from Mac Davis, Peter Seeger, Chris Christopherson, Cat Stevens, and Neil Young.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her recording of Stevens' Peace Train was later remixed and released as a dance single, reaching Billboard's Dance Singles chart. Her 1998 country rock album, Hungry Again, was made up entirely of her own compositions, although neither of the album's two singles, Why Don't More Women Sing, Honky Tonk Songs, and Salt in My Tears, charted. Videos for both songs received significant airplay on CMT. A second and more contemporary collaboration with Harrison Ronstadt, Trio 2, was released in early 1999. Its cover of Neil Young's song After the Gold Rush won a Grammy Award for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals. Parton would also be included into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1999. Now, Parton recorded a series of bluegrass-inspired albums, beginning with The Grass is Blue in 1999, winning a Grammy Award for the Best Bluegrass Album, and Little Sparrow, with its cover of Collective Soul's Shine, winning a Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. The third, Halos and Horns, included a bluegrass version of the Led Zeppelin song Stairway to Heaven. In 2005, she released Those Were the Days, consisting of her interpretations of hits from the folk rock era in the late 1960s and 70s, including Imagine, Where Do the Children Play, Crimson and Clover, and Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Now, Parton would earn her second Academy Award nomination for the Best Original Song to Travelin' Through, which she wrote specifically for the feature film Transamerica.
Interesting.
Due to the song and film's acceptance of the transgender woman, Parton received death threats. She returned to #1 on the country chart later in 2005 by lending her distinctive harmonies to the Brad Paisley ballad When I Get Where I'm Going. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
That one's powerful. In September of 2007, Parton released her first single from her own record company, Dolly Records, titled Better Get to Livin', which eventually peaked at number 48 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. It was followed by the studio album Backwoods, Barbie, which was released on February 26, 2008, and reached number 2 in the country chart. The album's debut at number 17 on the all-genre Billboard 200 chart was the highest of her career. Backwoods Barbie produced 4 additional singles, including the title track, written as part of the score for 9 to 5 the Musical, and an adaptation of her feature film. After the death of Michael Jackson, whom Parton knew personally, she released a video in which she somberly told of her feelings on Jackson and his death. On October 27, 2009, Parton released a 4-CD box set, Dolly, which featured 99 songs.
Oh, wow.
That's a big box set.
I am disappointed that it was not 100. Who stops at 99?
No, you need one more.
Why?
Just one more.
I was just like, bam, why?
Yeah, don't go all that way. Spanning most of her career. She released her second live DVD and album, Live from London, in October of 2009, filmed during her sold-out 2008 concerts in London's the O2 Arena. On August 10, 2010, with longtime friend Billy Ray Cyrus, Parton released the album Brother Clyde. Parton was also featured on The Right Time, where she co-wrote with Cyrus and Morris Joseph Tancredi. On the 6th of January 2011, Parton announced that her new album would be titled Better Day. In February 2011, she announced that she would embark on her Better Day World Tour on July 17, 2011, with shows in Northern Europe and the U.S. The album's lead-off single, Together You and I, was released on May 23, 2011, and Better Day was released on June 28, 2011. In 2011, Parton voiced the character Dolly in the animated film Romeo and Juliet, and on February 11, 2012, after the sudden death of Whitney Houston, Parton stated, "Mine is only one of millions of hearts broken over the death of Whitney Houston. I will always be grateful and in awe of this wonderful performance she did on my song, and I can truly say from the bottom of my heart, Whitney, I will always love you. You will be missed." 2013, Parton joined Lulu Roman for a re-recording of I Will Always Love You for Roman's album At Last. In 2013, Parton and Kenny Rogers reunited for the title song of the album, You Can't Make Old Friends. For their performance, they were nominated at the 2014 Grammy Awards for a Grammy Award with Best Country Duo Group Performance. In 2014, Parton embarked on the Blue Smoke World Tour in support of her 42nd studio album, Blue Smoke. The album was first released in Australia and New Zealand on January 31st to coincide with tour dates there in February, and reached #1 on the album charts in both countries. It was released in the United States on May 13th and debuted at #6 on the Billboard 200 chart, making it her first top 10 album and her highest charting solo album ever. It also reached the #2 on the U.S. country chart. The album was released in Europe on June 9th and reached #2 on the UK album chart, and on the 29th of 2014, Payton performed for the first time at the UK Glastonbury Festival, singing such songs as Jolene, 95, and Coat of Many Colors to a crowd of more than 180,000 people. On March 6, 2016, Payton announced that she would be embarking on a tour in support of her new album, Pure and Simple. The tour was one of Parton's biggest tours in the United States in more than 25 years, with 64 dates were planned in the U.S. and Canada, visiting most of the requested markets missed on previous tours. In the fall of 2015, she released Jolene as a single with the cappella group Pentatonics, and performed on The Voice with Pentatonics and Miley Cyrus in November of 2016. Also in 2016, Parton was one of 30 artists to perform on Forever Country, a mashup of the songs Take Me Home, Country Roads, On the Road Again, and her own I Will Always Love You. The song celebrates 50 years of the CMA Awards.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. At the ceremony itself, Parton was honored with the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award, which was presented by Lily Tomlin and preceded by a tribute featuring Jennifer Nettles, Pentatonics, Reba McEntire, Casey Musgraves, Carrie Underwood, and Martina McBride. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say I seriously think Willie Nelson is going to live forever.
What?
Because look at everybody that he's outlived.
Right.
Everybody's like, are you sure he's still alive down there? Yeah, I still see the cloud. In 2017, Parton appeared on The Rainbow, the third studio album by Keisha, performing a duet of Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You. The track has been co-written by Keisha's mother, Phoebe Siebert, and it was previously a hit for Parton, and was included on her 1980 album, Dolly, Dolly, Dolly. She also co-wrote and provided feature vocals on the song Rainbow Land on Younger Now, the sixth album by her goddaughter, Miley Cyrus. In July of 2019, Parton made an unannounced appearance at the Newport Folk Festival in Rhode Island and performed several songs accompanied by the Highwaywomen and Linda Perry. 2019, Parton collaborated with Christian alternative rock duet for King and Country and released a version of their hit God Only Knows. She followed this with a recording duet with Christian music artist Zach Williams in the song There Was Jesus. In 2020, Payton received worldwide attention after posting 4 pictures in which showed how she would present herself on social media platforms LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The original post on Instagram went viral after celebrities posted their own versions of the so-called Dolly Parton challenge on social media. On April 10th, 2020, Parton re-released 93 songs from 6 of her classic albums: Little Sparrow, Halos and Horns, For God and Country, Better Days, Those Were the Days, and Livin' Well. On May 27th, 2020, Parton released a brand new song called When Life Is Good Again. The song was released to help keep the spirits up of those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. She also released the music video for When Life Is Good Again, which premiered on Time 100 Talks on May 20th, 2020. In October of that year, Parton was featured on the single Pink along with Monica, Jordan Sparks, Sarah Evans, and Rita Wilson. The single was released in aid of breast cancer research. Parton released a Holly Dolly Christmas in October of that year. On December 6th, CBS aired a Christmas special, A Holly Dolly Christmas, which Parton performed songs from her album. Well, in 2021, a duet version of the song Does He Love You with singer Reba McEntire was released.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah. And in early 2022, Parton was nominated for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Parton initially declined the nomination, believing that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was for the people in rock music. But after learning that this is not the case, Parton said she would accept her induction if she is chosen for the honor. In May, her induction was announced, and on November 5th, 2022, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In October of 22, Parton stated in an interview she would no longer tour, but would continue to play live shows occasionally. On December 31st, 2022, Parton co-hosted the NBC's New York special, Miley's New Year's Eve Party. In January of the following year, Parton announced that she would release her first rock album, titled Rockstar, later that year during an interview with The View. The lead single, World on Fire, was released on May 11th, and it peaked at number 1 a week later. The album was released on November 17th, featuring collaborations with Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, Sting, Elton John, Sheryl Crow, Steve Perry, Miley Cyrus, and Lizzo, among others. The album received generally positive reviews from critics, debuting at number 3 on the Billboard 200, becoming Parton's highest charting solo studio album, as well as topping the country and rock album charts. The soundtrack single, Gonna Be You, from the movie 80 for Brady, was released on January 20th, 2023. The song was written by Diane Warren and performed by Dolly Parton, Linda Carlisle, Cyndi Lauper, Debbie Harry, and Gloria Estefan.
Interesting.
Yeah. The official music video shows Parton, Carlisle, Lauper, and Estefan performing while wearing football jerseys similar to the ones worn by the women in the film, interspersed with clips from the film. On March 29th, 2024, Parton was featured in Beyoncé's 8th studio album, Cowboy Carter, being involved in the introduction of the reinterpretation of Jolene by her colleague, in which Parton associates the character of Jolene with Becky from the track Sorry of Beyoncé's album Lemonade, and is a featured artist in the track Tyrant. On February 14th, 2025, Parton featured on Sabrina Carpenter's song Please, Please, Please on the deluxe edition of her album Short and Sweet and its accompanying music video. On March 7th, 2025, Parton released the single If You Hadn't Been There, as a tribute to her husband who had died a week before. In the UK, the single peaked number 21 on the sales and downloads chart components. 2025, Dolly and Parton recorded a new version of the 1985 single Home Sweet Home with Motley Crue, marking the song's 40th anniversary. The track was released on the band's compilation From the Beginning, with a portion of proceeds benefiting Convent House, a charity supporting homeless youth. The collaboration returned to favor. Parton had extended 2 years earlier when she invited Motley Crue's Nikki Sixx and John Five to contribute to her 2023 rock album Rockstar. Parton planned to visit a 6-day Las Vegas residency, Dolly live in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace in December of 2025, but she postponed it and then canceled it. On January 16, 2026, in anticipation of her 80th birthday, Parton received a new live version of the song Light a Clear Blue Morning, featuring several celebrity artists: Queen Latifah, Lainey Wilson, Miley Cyrus, Reba McEntire, and David Foster. On March 13th, Parton made her first major appearance since the health scare, giving a keynote address at the Dollywood during the 41st anniversary celebration. She would make her last public appearance June of 2026, appearing at the grand opening of a truck stop off Interstate 65 in Cornersville, Tennessee, which is being named in her honor. On April 14th, over a week before her death, Parton was set to attend the grand opening of the Night Flight Expedition, a new ride at the Dollywood theme park. Instead, she appeared in a recorded video from her home to explain because of her health issues she could not appear in person. And sadly, today she is now joined her husband and has passed on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of her music. I love the movie 9 to 5.
Oh, yes.
There's a couple of Christmas movies that she's in that I cannot think of off the top of my head, because why would I want to do that?
The one song that she did that I liked a lot was The Cowgirl and the Dandy.
No, Daddy's Hands was another one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
She had a lot of good ones, and then I know for a lot of people, kind of go as old country, which she is.
Which she is.
But I guess because a lot of that I could kind of relate to, and some of that newer one I didn't even realize, existed.
Yeah.
So I might have to go look them up. I'm not sure how I feel about Dolly and Motley Crue, but it could be interesting.
Could be interesting.
I might have to look that up.
That is
right.
our day in history for the Bearded Historians. So we will see you guys next week unless Sue throws me out in the garbage.
No.
No?
No.
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 Why?
Because next week.
Uh-huh.
Wait, is that the end of August or the beginning of September?
Next week is September.
So next week is your birthday month. You do not get to exist anymore.
Oh, darn. Bye, humans.
All right, we got 39 minutes and 30